What's going on, guys? I'm back with another one. And I just watched a movie called 28 Years Later, starring Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Alfie Williams. These names are getting easier. I appreciate that. If nothing else, I do appreciate the easy names. All right, the normal, somewhat normal names, except for the guy named Alfie, which reminds me of Alf all of a sudden. First of all, so we had 28 days later. You had 28 weeks later. What happened to 28 months later?
What happened? What happened?
Where did it go?
But it never came.
I mean, you totally skipped. You completely skipped a process in this. That movie should have came out like 12 years after 28 weeks later. There was a pattern going on there. There was a pattern, a process you messed up. So why did you stop after 28 weeks and then some years later, 2025, you now decide to come out with 28 years later? You took so long. I'm tired of this entire process. This entire thing that's being done with Hollywood. You just can't think of any other ideas. So you want to just pop out another prequel or sequel or third installment of a movie, a franchise, out of nowhere that no one really asked for or thought was going to continue. I didn't think that was going to continue. I didn't think it was. Or keep going. Don't sit here and tell me you had this whole idea in your mind all these years. You just were working on it the entire time. You weren't doing that. You weren't doing any of that. Somebody needed money. Okay? Somebody needs some money. If you didn't, this movie would have came out a long ass time ago, and it'd be called 28 months later, not years. It's missing a piece of the puzzle, and you know it, right? But anyway, let's get to the movie. Let's get to that review, right? 28 years later. For those who don't know, for those not aware. Now, let's give you the benefit of a doubt, because not everybody's a 28 day later fan. Not everybody is a zombie movie fan. I'm not really that strong on that either, but I gotta watch something. Okay? I gotta watch something, right? Just can't sit here and twiddle my thumbs and do nothing. So here we are. So yeah, you might be a good majority that didn't care about this. They're tired of zombie movies. But then there are a lot of people who are really into this, who are really into this genre, into this franchise, the entire thing. So I'm going to kind of give you a pass this time around. I'm going to have to, because I understand. I clept onto it because I do what I do. I do what I do. But if you don't do what a reviewer does, then you probably didn't care. So no penalization this time. 28 years later, for real. Pretty much about this guy named Jamie who takes his son out on a hunt. All right? He wants to get him up there in manhood already to learn how to hunt zombies, to beware of zombies outside the perimeter of the little village that they live in, because they're in this little tiny village that is protected by barriers and bridges and a long walkway across the water that they should not go across. And if you do, you're crazy. All right, there's just no other way to put that. You're insane if you go across that walkway. But they do it so he can teach his son how to hunt. And they telling him, yeah, your son's too young. Your son's too young. Why are you doing? You sure you want to do this? And he still does it anyways. So when he goes out there, he teaches them how to hunt. He shows them what zombies really looking like out there. Things get crazy. Things get real. Things get real. Mistakes happen. All right. They get back to the place eventually. But because they went out there, they shook a whole tree. A truck. And now we have to deal with what we have to deal with. And that's the premise of 28 years later. Positives. In the beginning of this movie, the flashback, to show you some events from 28 days later, I want to say. When those little girls in that room were just trying to chill and watch some Teletubbies. I don't know why they were watching that crap. They were watching Teletubbies though. They could hear the chaos brewing up in the front of that house. Something was going on. They knew they were getting attacked. They knew they were under attack. Well, those girls still try to watch that damn movie. Okay, that show, whatever. They try to watch that show with all their might. Okay, and you could tell at a point and moment that they had fear in their face. They were starting to cry. They were starting to break down. They were getting nervous. You could feel the fear, the genuine fear in these kids. And just from that scene alone, I was like, yes, this is going to be a hell of a ride. This movie's going to be a hell of a ride. From this, I think it is. I think it is. Because when you can feel someone else's emotion through the screen, that's a good sign. Those are good child actors. Those are genuine child actors right there. All right, that's what it is. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. I felt that. I felt that fear, and so throughout the rest of the movie, every emotion and anything that came out of these actors and these actresses, I felt genuinely. Okay, and that's just the way things were going with this. The acting was superb. The acting was out of the park. Completely out of the park. Another positive. The artistic direction this movie took was outstanding. There were parts in the movie where they would play certain songs or music in the background, and then they would skip to clips of old 1950s movies and propaganda and things like this, and there'd be someone talking or having a speech in the background, and that made this movie even more eerie than what it already is. It added to the scary. It added to the horror dynamic of the film. All right, I don't think they did that in the other ones. So the directive of this movie, the artistic direction of this movie is genius. In my opinion, it makes it scarier. It makes it weirder. It gave me some chills. It gave me chills, man. This stuff gave me chills. It really did. I don't know whose idea that was, but whoever it was, kudos to you. Kudos to making this movie stand out with just that from 28 days later or 28 weeks. Because that's what that did. All right. Another positive. The difference between the pregnancy in Army of the Dead and this movie. All right, if you've seen Army of the Dead with Bautista in it, they have a zombie clan, right? The whole crew, and they're like smart zombies, or at least the two king and queen are smart, okay, than the usual zombie. And they can mate, they can have sex, right? And they had a baby, or I think she was pregnant still, at least, or whatever. And so it was, in that aspect of it, you didn't feel bad for this couple. You weren't going to feel bad for a baby, if it died, or what happened to it, because it's just pure evil going on here. It's pure savage evil with those two, that king and the queen. All right, because apparently if the baby was born, it was going to be evil too. It's another zombie. It wasn't going to be any kind of human. But in this case, 28 years later, the baby in this movie was completely innocent, totally innocent, and you felt bad for the kid. You felt bad for that infant. All right, because it didn't ask to be put here. Neither did the other one, but still, you knew that one was going to be a demon later on, a brain-eating demon. But this one was not. It was all human. And don't worry, this is a spoiler review, so you have nothing to worry about if you're watching this right now. Yeah, so there's a big difference. And so I like how they did it with this movie. I like the fact that once the mom sat down and she started aiding the zombie woman, the pregnant zombie woman with that baby, having it, she held her hands like she was human. For 20 minutes, that woman was human, okay? As they sat there and she went through labor and she had that kid, and you forgot she was a zombie. You forgot she was a zombie the entire time. I've never seen that done in a zombie movie at all. Different. That's what we need. Different stuff. Another positive. I'm not going to say too much, but at the end of this movie, a certain group, you know what, this is a spoiler review, so we're going to say it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get into it. All right, at the end of this film, a band of zombie hunting, I want to say hippies. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but they come in and they rescue Spike when he's in danger, okay? And then they come out of nowhere and they're doing all these acrobatics and weird stuff and martial arts or whatever they're doing.
Not so
And they
fast,
save
you
him.
ingrates.
Okay? It's pretty much like they're asking him to join their group, join their band of weirdos. and then it just cuts off. It just cuts off. My thing is this. You just can't cut it off like that. You just can't end the movie like that. And then we don't know if we're going to get more or not. I need more from this franchise now. Now that you've done that, now that you've cut it off like that, I want more. What's going to happen next? Because if you don't give us another movie now, this is going to mean nothing. That ending will mean nothing at all. It will be unnecessary, completely unnecessary to the entire movie. And it will make no sense and it will be stupid. Because I'm going to get to this later on, but it was a total tone shift for the film. The rest of the film was not like that. And then when it got to the end of the movie, that happened, which is a little funny. I'll talk about it later on. But because it ended like that, for me, it is a good part of the movie because it kind of teases at there being more to come. And I want that. So let's go. Now I want that. I'm invested. I'm invested. Right? Negatives. For a good majority of this movie, there was the father named Jamie, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, right? Which I thought was going to be the main character of the film, but kind of wasn't. Really was not. And so, like, between, like, in the middle of the film, when they come back to the village, he kind of just drifts off. Like, they have an argument, blah, 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 and you kind of never see him again. When the son goes to do his own thing, that's it. That's it for that character. That's it for Jamie. You never see Jamie again. What happened to this character? Why did he fade out like that? Why did he fade out like that? I thought there would be more. The dad was, cheating.
Eating ain't cheating.
On his wife. She's sick, whatever. Okay, so we kind of understand. We don't understand. It's pissing the son off, of course, because that's his mom. Come on now. And so, the son kind of threatens his dad. Dad's like, okay, dude, calm down. You know I could really hurt you.
Brought you in this world,
but I'm going to spare you because I'm the son. And he runs out. Right? And just, you never hear from this guy ever again. It pulls all the focus off of the guy you thought was going to be the main character in the film, and now it's all about Spike and his mom. And that was, it threw me off a little bit. It kind of threw me off point from the film, but I digress. Another negative. Didn't like the outcome of the mother. All right. She's laying in that bed every time you see her, talking crazy talk. We're in an apocalypse. We're in a zombie apocalypse the entire time here. So my mind is thinking that this has something to do with her getting bit. I thought she got bit. All right. And for some reason, she couldn't change over to the zombie. Something was keeping her from doing that. Or, it was some kind of complication going on with this. And I thought that was going to be the entire reveal or the whole thing going on, but it was not. It was not. Instead, it's a spoiler review, just in case you didn't know, she had cancer the entire time. That's it. That's it. You had cancer. That's the big shock and awe of the film. You had cancer the entire time. It didn't do anything for me. It didn't do anything for me. Did I feel bad? Yes, I felt bad. But it still meant almost absolutely nothing to me. All right. It made the character unnecessary at that point. And when what happens to her later on, you're not really like, oh no, don't do that, no, don't take her away, no. The kid is the only one crying. Literally, the kid is the only one who cried about that. The dad wouldn't have cried. He was kind of planning this. Trust me, he was so ready to get away. And the kid is the only one that cared. So, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Another negative. The tone of the film drastically changed almost. Because you almost forget about the zombies for a minute when they go to meet the doctor. And you get into this real dramatic stage of the film. Where it's like a drama. And it's sad and people are crying. And you got the violins in the background. And oh, the dad. And no, don't take her away. And you forget, hey, this is a horror movie. What do we do? And that's not bad to do things like that, but it was an awkward transition. It was an awkward transition. Let me put it like that. It takes you out of the movie, and it was not always in a good way. I need to be reminded. Keep it locked in that you are in a zombie apocalypse.
No crap.
Keep it locked in. Keep people knowing this in the movie. You got to do that. You got to. You got to keep that going. You can't stop. They had to get back to it a couple of times, but nah, they were drifting in and out with that crap. I did not care. I didn't care. I'm not trying to be a heartless person, but I didn't care about a lot of the, dramatics towards the mom. Just didn't. All right. Last negative. So, with every movie we get different kind of zombies. And this one, it was the naked zombies. Every zombie was butt naked, which is completely realistic. I get it. But what I don't get is why must we see everything in detail? I did not want to see the man zombies dangling around the entire time. Put a loincloth on.
So they won't arrive bare butt
The
naked.
females, awesome, cool. Keep that showing. But the dudes, why? The cameraman was all up on it. He was all up in there. Bro, what are you doing? This is a rated R, not rated X. Please stop that. But still, I have to give this a hell yes, because I'm invested now. I'm totally invested in this film. I need more. In 5 more years, I need 28. What is it? Decades later? I don't know. At this point, I don't know. What do we got next? What do we got next? I need it. Press that like button. Share. You know what you need to do.